Hi, this is Catherine again, and today we're going to be talking about the physical science lesson, Listen Carefully. It's lesson 5 of this unit, and this is one of my kids' absolute favorites. The reason they like this is they just like to listen to different sounds, and they have to work on being really quiet, which teacher likes, so we have a lot of fun doing it. So one of the first things that we do to start this lesson is I have the kiddos close their eyes and they have to be completely silent, and I ask them to listen to the sounds that they hear around them. And I also remind them at this time that they're kind of supposed to not be using their other senses, their eyes, that's why I have them close their eyes, or sense of smell, that we're just working on hearing. And usually the kind of sounds they hear are, outside in the hallway, kids walking by, or they hear sounds from the playground, or they hear the clock ticking. So we spend a little time talking about all those different sounds and what they're hearing, whether they're soft or louder sounds, and kind of really discussing that with the whole group. After we've talked just about the sounds we hear in our classroom, usually what we do is I have the kiddos kind of pretend they're somewhere else, like they're standing out on a busy road, or what are the sounds they'd hear at the grocery store. And we kind of just discuss those. Usually they'll say things like cash register at the grocery store, or they hear their brother crying. So it's kind of a nice opportunity for them to share experiences from their life. After we've done kind of talking about different sounds, I like to kind of incorporate a little bit of language arts with this, and we usually say some nursery rhymes that we've been familiar with, or rhymes from the classroom, and we just kind of practice saying those either loudly or softly, or with a whisper voice, or with a grumpy voice, and kind of talking about different tones in people's voices and different sounds that they'll hear. When we're done with that piece, this is something I like to do as a whole group, just because it's a little easier. You're going to need to use a CD player, and it's a little easier for me to manipulate without having to teach the kiddos how to do it, just for time purposes. Usually, you could also do this in your follow-up. You could teach it once and then use it in your listening center, or do it as another science center. But again, I would suggest teaching it as a whole group and doing it once together, and then letting the students do it independently if you choose to do that. And what you do is you play this CD, and on this CD are different sounds, environmental sounds that the kiddos would be real familiar with. And what's nice about the CD, they play the sound twice, and it gives a little pause in between repeating the sound, just so kiddos have time to think about it and kind of decide what sound it is. And what's really nice about this is they give you 2 large charts in the kit, and the charts have sound 1, sound 2, sound 3, and then they give you some picture cards that go with it. And on the picture cards are just pictures of different sounds, like a baby crying, or a rooster, so you use for a rooster crowing, or drums or cymbals, a vacuum cleaner. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the CD in, and you're going to play it once through. You don't usually need to pause it, but if you notice that the kids need some extra time, it might be a chance to do that. So you play the CD through, and then what I like to do is call on one student at a time, and they come up and find which picture they think matches the sound. So they can put the cow up if they hear the cow mooing on sound 1. And then if you do need to pause because the child who comes up is having a more difficult time, it's also a good opportunity to remind them which sound you're listening to. Oh, now we're listening to the second sound. Might be helpful to keep them on the right track. And the kids really enjoy doing that. After we've completed it once, what I also like to do is to just play it usually one more time through and just check our answers. Sometimes what I do, and I've done this once or twice after we've completed the listening part on the CD, I like to have kids make different sounds, maybe different animal sounds, and they have their peers guess what sound they're making. So it's kind of a nice way to wrap up the lesson and work on just focusing that you can hear objects too. You can hear a dog, not that a dog is an object, but you can hear people and places and things and objects just by listening, and you don't necessarily need to see it or smell it to be able to know what object it is. Thank you.